There is a bottle sitting beside your kitchen sink right now, and I would wager you cannot tell me what is in it. You have bought it so many times you do not even see it anymore. It goes in the cart with the bread and the eggs, $4, sometimes $5 now, and it lasts you a month, maybe 6 weeks if you are careful, and then you buy another one. You have done this every month for as long as you have kept a house. 20 years of housekeeping is 200 bottles or more. And here is the part that would have made my grandmother sit down hard in her chair. That bottle is mostly water. Read the label sometime. Water is the first ingredient, and in most of those bottles it is somewhere around 3/4 of what you are pouring. You are driving to the store every month to buy water with a little soap stirred into it, at $4 a squeeze bottle, when the actual soap, the real working part of it, can be had for about $4 in a form that will wash your dishes for the better part of a year. My wife Esther has a bar of it sitting in a little wire dish on the back of our sink, and that bar has been there since before last Christmas, and it is not half gone yet. If this is useful to you, hit subscribe and tell us in the comments where in the world you are watching from today. I am Amos Stoltzfus. I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and I will tell you honestly, when Esther first told me what she spends on washing dishes for a family our size in a year, I did not believe her, and I made her tell me twice. Then she showed me the arithmetic on the back of a seed envelope, and I stopped arguing, which is generally the wise course in my kitchen. Let me say one thing and then I will not bring it up again. I have gathered these old ways into a book over at eliasyoder.com. If you want it, it is there. That is all. Now let us talk about soap. First, before I give you any recipe, I want you to understand what soap actually is, because once you see it plain, you will understand why the bar works, why the bottle is mostly water, and why the foam in your sink has been lying to you your whole life. Every step after this follows on its own. Soap is fat that has been changed. That is the whole of it. You take a fat, lard from the hog, tallow from the steer, or these days coconut oil or olive oil, and you cook it together with lye, and the two of them turn into something new. The old folks called it soap making. The chemists call it saponification, which is a fine long word for the same kettle my great-grandmother stirred in the yard every fall after butchering. What comes out of that kettle is a remarkable little thing. Each bit of soap is a molecule with two ends, and the two ends want different things. One end loves water and will grab onto it. The other end hates water and loves grease, and it will bury itself in any fat it can find. So when you wash a greasy plate, one end of the soap digs into the bacon fat, and the other end holds the hand of the water, and when the water runs down the drain, it drags the grease along with it. The soap is a man standing in the river, holding the bank with one hand and pulling his brother out of the mud with the other. That is all washing is. It has never been anything else. Now, that working molecule, the two-handed one, is the only part of dish soap that washes anything. Everything else in the bottle is along for the ride. So let us read the bottle together, because I had Esther's niece bring one out to the farm so I could see for myself, and it was an education. Water first, like I said, and plenty of it. Then the detergent, which is the modern factory-made cousin of soap, the same two-handed molecule made from petroleum or palm oil instead of your grandmother's kettle. It works. I will not pretend it does not. Then comes a thickener, and this one is worth knowing about, because the thickener is often plain salt. They add salt to the watery mix to make it pour slow and heavy, because a thick liquid feels strong to the hand and a thin one feels cheap, even though the thickness washes nothing. Then a foam booster, and I will come back to the foam. Then dye to make it yellow or blue or green. Then perfume to make it smell like a lemon that never grew on any tree I have stood under. And then a preservative to keep the whole watery business from spoiling in the bottle, because anything that is mostly water will grow things if you let it sit. So the bottle is water, a little detergent, salt to make the water feel thick, air-making agents, paint, and perfume. You are paying for one working ingredient and 5 costumes. And the foam. I promised you the foam, so here it is. Suds do not clean. I will say it once more so it settles in. Suds do not clean anything. Foam is only air that the soap has wrapped up in little skins, and a bubble scrubbing your plate is doing exactly as much work as a bubble sitting in a glass of beer. The soap that is busy holding air is soap that is not holding grease. My grandfather kept bees and made soap and did not waste words, and he told me once, "The suds are the soap waving at you, not the soap working." The companies know that people judge a soap by its lather, so they add boosters to make mountains of foam, and then folks squeeze out more soap whenever the mountain goes flat, even when the water underneath is still perfectly good and hungry for grease. The foam going flat does not mean the soap is spent. It only means the show is over, and every needless squeeze of the bottle is another trip to the store a few days sooner. All right, now you know what soap is and what the bottle is. Here is the recipe, and I will give it to you two ways. The plain way first, because the plain way is so plain that some of you will laugh at me. The plain way is this. You buy a bar of real soap and you set it in a dish beside the sink, and you rub your wet dish brush across it, and you wash your dishes. That is the entire method. Esther keeps a bar of plain coconut oil soap, a solid white brick of it, in a little wire soap dish so it drains dry between uses. And when a dish needs washing, she wets the brush, swipes it over the bar 2 or 3 times, and goes to work. The brush loads up with exactly as much soap as the job wants and not a drop more, because you cannot over-squeeze a bar. That one bar costs somewhere between $3 and $5 depending on where you buy it. And used this way, one bar washes dishes for 8 months to a year in our house, and we are not a small house at supper time. Now, the kind of bar matters, so listen to this part. You want a pure coconut oil soap, or what the stores call a Castile bar, or one of the old yellow laundry bars your grandmother would recognize on sight. Coconut oil soap is the best of them for dishes, for one particular reason. It is the only common soap that will still throw a lather in hard water. Most soap sulks in hard water. Coconut oil soap does not care. What you do not want is a beauty bar, the kind sold for the bath, because most of those are not fully soap at all, and they are loaded with skin creams and moisturizers, and a moisturizer is a fat, and a fat is grease, and rubbing grease on your dishes to remove grease is a dog chasing its own tail. Read the bar. If it says moisturizing, leave it for the bathroom. You want the plain, hard, unfriendly-looking bar. The uglier the bar, the better it washes. That has been my experience with soap and, now that I think on it, with dogs and with weather too. And I will tell you, watching Esther swipe that brush across the bar put me in mind of my grandmother's kitchen, because she had a tool at her sink that I have not seen in an English house in 40 years. It was a soap shaker, a little wire basket the size of your fist, on a wire handle with a latch. Inside it went the stub ends of every soap bar in the house, the slivers too small to hold, and when the dishwater was drawn she would swish that basket through the hot water a few times, and the water went milky and ready, and the basket hung on its nail until the next meal. Nothing was thrown away. The bar served at the sink until it was a sliver, and the sliver served in the shaker until it was nothing at all. I asked her once, being a boy and therefore full of questions that deserved no answer, why she did not just buy the soap in the squeeze bottle like the ladies in town, and she looked at me the way you look at a calf that has walked into the same fence twice. She said, "They are selling water, child, and I have a well." Then she went back to her dishes, and that was the end of my education on the subject for about 30 years, until I finally read a label and found out she had been exactly right the whole time. She usually was. It is a humbling thing, how often the people we thought were merely old turn out to have been merely correct. That is the plain way, and if you stopped the video right here and went and bought a bar, you would already be ahead. But some of you want a liquid in a jar, because you like a squirt bottle, or you soak pans, or you have a husband who cannot be retrained, and Esther has a jar recipe for that too, so here it is, the second way. You take that same bar of coconut oil soap and you grate it on the kitchen grater, the same one you grate cheese on, coarse side. You want about 1 packed cup of soap shavings, which is roughly 1/3 of the bar. Grating a bar of soap takes about 4 minutes and makes a snowfall on the counter. And the first time Esther set me to doing it, I grated a knuckle as well, so mind your fingers when the bar gets small. Then you heat 4 cups of water in a pot until it steams but does not boil. Take it off the heat and stir the shavings in until every curl of them has melted away. Then, and this is the part that turns a nice soap into a grease killer, you stir in 1 level tablespoon of washing soda. Washing soda, sodium carbonate, the same $5 box from the cleaning aisle I have talked about before. Not baking soda. The boxes look like cousins, but they are not the same mineral, and baking soda will not do this job. The washing soda raises the alkalinity of the mix, and grease surrenders to alkalinity. It also softens hard water so the soap can spend its strength on your plates instead of fighting your well. Stir it all until it is smooth. Let it cool overnight on the counter, and in the morning it will have set up somewhere between a gel and a soft paste. If it sets too firm, whisk in a little more warm water. If it seems thin, let it be. And remember what I told you about thickness. Thin soap washes exactly as well as thick soap. Yours will be thinner than the store bottle because yours has no salt trick in it, and your hands will learn in a week that thin was never a flaw. Pour or spoon it into a mason jar, or funnel it into the old squirt bottle you were about to throw away, and there is your year. 1 bar makes 3 batches. Each batch is 4 cups, and the store bottle you have been buying is 3 cups, so run that arithmetic yourself. Call it a full year of dishwashing out of 1 bar and a spoonful or 3 of washing soda, for about $4, maybe $6 if soap is proud in your town. Esther figured our old habit against the new one, and the saving lands between $40 and $60 a year for the dishes alone, and that is 1 sink in 1 house, every year, forever. Now the method, because a good tool used poorly gets blamed for the workman's habits, and I will not have you blaming the bar. Use the hottest water your hands will bear. Heat is half of dishwashing. Grease that is warm lets go easy, and grease that is cold clings like a tick, and no soap on this earth, homemade or store-bought, washes well in cold water. Wash the cleanest things first, glasses and cups, then plates, then the greasy pans last, so your water stays decent as long as possible. That is not my wisdom, that is every grandmother who ever lived, but it matters more with real soap, so I am saying it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss what we share next. Scrape your pans before they meet the water. A rubber scraper in 10 seconds takes off what would have murdered your whole sink of suds. Soap has only so many hands, and every glob of gravy you scrape into the bucket for the hens is soap saved for the plates. And here is the one honest difference you may meet, so I will meet it first. If your water is very hard, real soap can leave a faint white film on glasses, a cloudiness. It is soap scum, which is the soap wrestling with the minerals in your water and both of them losing. The washing soda in the jar recipe prevents most of it, which is exactly why it is in there. But if you are on a well like we are and the glasses still look dusty, the fix costs nothing. Put a splash of plain white vinegar in your rinse water. The vinegar cuts the mineral film and the glasses come out ringing. Rinse water on one side, wash water on the other, the way every farm sink ran for 200 years. Do not pour vinegar into the wash water itself, though. Vinegar is an acid and soap is alkaline, and if you mix them in the same sink, they cancel each other like 2 stubborn men arguing, and you will be washing dishes with salad dressing. Now let me be plain about what this is and what it is not, because I will not sell you a thing and let you find out its edges the hard way. This is for washing dishes in a sink, by hand. It is grand for that. It is not for the dishwashing machine. Hear me on this one, because this is the mistake that floods kitchens. Never put real soap, not the bar, not the grated jar mix, not 1 spoonful, into an automatic dishwasher. Machine detergent is built on purpose to make no foam at all. Real soap is a foam-making thing by its nature, and inside that sealed machine with hot water thrashing around, 1 tablespoon of it will brew up a wall of suds that comes out the door seam and across your kitchen floor, like something out of a comedy picture, except you are the one with the mop. A neighbor of ours, and I will not say which farm, learned this with a bar of laundry soap and a machine at her English employer's house, and the story is still told at quiltings. Sink soap for the sink, machine soap for the machine, and one more honest edge. A truly burnt pan, the black-crusted roasting pan from a Sunday chicken, is not really a soap problem at all. It is a soaking problem. For that one, sprinkle a spoonful of dry washing soda straight into the pan, add hot water, and walk away until morning. The alkaline soak does overnight what your arm would have done for 20 minutes, and the crust wipes out with a rag. The soap jar is for washing. The washing soda box is for the disasters. So the recipe is honest, the method is honest, and now you might well ask the question I always come around to. If a $4 bar washes dishes for a year, why did nobody ever tell you? And I want to be careful here, the same as I always am, because I am not going to tell you there is a scheme, some room full of men in a tower deciding to keep the bar soap a secret. There is no such room. What there is arithmetic, and the arithmetic runs all one direction. A company that sells you 1 bar a year makes 1 sale a year. A company that sells you water in a bottle every month makes 12. Nobody has to plot anything. Every advertisement simply gets made for the bottle. Every coupon gets printed for the bottle. Every shelf at eye level gets rented for the bottle, and the plain bar sits down by your ankles on the bottom shelf next to the shoe polish. And within a generation or two, the knowing just stops being handed down. Your great-grandmother washed dishes with a bar and a brush her whole life. Somewhere between her sink and yours, the bar was traded for the bottle, and I do not believe anybody in your family ever decided to make that trade. It just arrived in the cart one week and never left. Nobody buried the old way. It grew over like a path nobody walks. Well, let us walk this one. Here is what I would ask of you, and I have kept it small on purpose. This week, buy 1 bar of plain coconut oil or Castile soap and 1 cheap soap dish, the wire kind that drains. Set it by the sink. Tonight, wash 1 sink of supper dishes with the brush and the bar, hottest water you can stand. Cleanest dishes first. That is the whole trial. 1 evening. If you like it, grate the rest of the bar some Saturday and make the jar. And then come down to the comments and tell me how it went. Tell me if the bar threw a lather in your water, and tell me what your water is. City or well, hard or soft. Because the answers help the next reader more than they help me. And if your mother or your grandmother kept a soap bar or a soap shaker at her sink, one of those little wire baskets on a handle that you swished through the dishwater, tell that too. Those little wire shakers are nearly gone from the world, and half of you have one in a drawer and do not know what it is. I read the comments, and other folks read them, and every one of you who reports back gives heart to the next one standing in the soap aisle doing arithmetic. And the next time we sit down together, I am going to take you into Esther's laundry room, because if the dish soap surprised you, wait until you see what a load of laundry actually costs against what her powder costs. Same grater, same washing soda box, 1 more ingredient, and the number per load will make you check my figures twice. I checked them 3 times myself. She was right, which by now should not surprise either of us. So buy the ugly bar and leave the pretty ones for the bath. Set it in a dish that drains. Rub the brush across it and trust the thin lather, because the suds were only ever waving at you. Grate a cup, melt it in 4 cups of hot water, stir in a spoonful of washing soda, and jar it. Splash of vinegar in the rinse if your well runs hard, never a drop of any of it in the machine, and washing soda overnight for the burnt Sunday pan. Do that, and the bottle of expensive water stays at the store where it belongs. And a year from now, that same humble bar will still be sitting at your sink, half spent, still working. The people who built this country washed every dish they ever owned that way, and their glasses rang, and their money stayed home. Thank you for watching. More videos are on your screen now, and subscribing means you will not miss what comes next.